Hello everyone, welcome back to another weekly reading vlog. This week we start on Easter Sunday, exciting. This just basically means chocolate for us. We don't celebrate in any other way other than eating nice food, I think, and enjoying the springtime weather because it's glorious out there today. I've already been out in the garden this morning, sweeping and kind of chopping things back a little bit, and I can see the new growth from some of the plants that I planted last year, so that's so exciting. It just fills me with so much joy. I love gardening. Do you guys like gardening? I'd love to hear down below. I just find gardening very, very therapeutic. So yeah, let me know if you're a keen gardener down below. I started my own veg patch last year. So this is the kind of first time round doing it all over again. So I'm definitely going to do things slightly different this year. So I think definitely this weekend I'm going to be planting some new seeds so that I can have that all ready in preparation for kind of May time when I'll plant everything outside. All very exciting. So anyway, what are we going to be reading this week? So I have literally just started reading The Mothers by Brit Bennett. I have only read the first chapter of this one so far and I am enjoying what I've read thus far. All that's happened so far is that we're following a young woman who has got pregnant via the pastor's son. So she's 17 and that's all that's happened really so far. So really keen to read more of this. I'm enjoying the writing style, so we'll read some of that. Also hoping to start Anne of Green Gables by Ellen Montgomery. This one I've been meaning to read for such a long time, and when I mentioned it in my spring TBR video, so many people were like, yeah, Anne of Green Gables, it's amazing, I love those books. So yeah, really looking forward to this one. And then the final book that I'm hoping to pick up is a huge one, and that is Queen of Shadows by Sarah J Maas. So this is the fourth book in the Throne of Glass series and I'm so excited for it. I've read all the other ones so far. I got myself really pumped when I read The Assassin's Blade recently, and so I can't wait to read this. However, it is huge. How many pages is this? Oh, I mean, 650 pages, although physically that looks more than 650 pages to me. So hey ho, we're just gonna have a really lovely springtime weekend. I'm gonna do all the reading. I've also got my embroidery. If you've been watching these vlogs recently, you'll see that I've been doing some embroidery. I'm still going on it. It takes time, but I am enjoying it thoroughly. So I might pick up an audiobook and do that as well. So yeah, grab yourself a nice drink, settle down for a lovely video, and I'll check in with you later. Bye! Welcome to Tuesday. Isn't it so nice to have a long weekend? I feel fully relaxed, fully ready to go back to work for a 4-day week. It's just the best feeling. I'm so excited. So let me update you on the books that I've been reading. So I finished Anne of Green Gables. I part listened to this one whilst I was doing my embroidery, which you would have just seen. I really enjoyed this one, and actually it was nice because I did kind of get the feeling at the beginning oh no, is this going to be a book like Little Women where it's very didactic, a lot of morals being thrown at you, and it's somewhat like that, but in a way that actually I much preferred. Anne, our main character, she's a very precocious little girl, likes to ask questions about everything, likes to know everything about everything, and just doesn't ever stop talking. And she learns a lot of things. You know, it is a book that gives you some morals. However, some of the morals are spun back on the adults in her life. So Anne is adopted into a family, and actually some of the times when they think they're about to teach her a lesson for doing something, it actually turns out that she teaches them a lesson, and I much prefer that. It puts a atom of intelligence into the child rather than it seeming like you are the child, you are here for me to teach you things, which kind of is what I felt with things like Little Women. And so yeah, I really enjoyed this. It filled me with so much joy, and certainly whilst I was listening to it, I literally had a smile on my face the entire time, so I would definitely recommend this one. And then to even out all that happiness that I was experiencing, I then decided to pick up When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Kalanithi. So this is a reread for me. I read this book a few years ago, absolutely adored it, and so I thought I would give it another reread, and I actually read this all in one sitting. So if you don't know, this is a memoir written by Paul Kalanithi when he was diagnosed with inoperable lung cancer. And so Paul, up until that point in his life, had been studying, he was a neurosurgeon and he was studying to become a neuroscientist, and so he was on this trajectory, constantly going up, all these things that he was striving for and had worked for like 10 years of his life to be able to be, and then suddenly he was told that there was a limit on his life, and he went from being the doctor in the know about everything to becoming the patient and being the one that's scared for their life. And oh yeah, what I really love about this though, and what I think makes it different from a lot of kind of medical memoirs of this kind, is the fact that Paul wasn't only just a neurosurgeon or a neuroscientist. Prior to that, he had done degrees in English language and English literature, and he'd actually wanted to become a writer. He read so widely as a child, and so there was a point in his life where it was a decision between going to like English school and becoming like an English professor, or going into science and becoming a scientist. I've just realised there are so many seagulls outside, so I'm really sorry if you can hear loads of seagulls. Anyway, it was a beautiful book. It's beautifully written. The foreword by a friend of his and then the afterword by his wife are just stunning as well. The whole book reads so beautifully, and it's one of those ones where you read it and you think, God, I like need to cherish my life, because you know, stuff like this happens to the best of people and it's not fair and you can't change it. And so yeah, would definitely recommend this one. So now the other two books that I'm still reading are The Mothers and Queen of Shadows. I'm also reading an audiobook called The Burning by Laura Bates. I believe Laura Bates might be the woman who kind of curated the everyday sexism movement. I might be completely wrong, but I do believe that that is that person. And this book is so far about a young girl who moves with her mother following the death of her father to Scotland and is starting a new school, and that's pretty much all I've got from it so far, and I'm chapter 11, so not much else has happened, to be honest, so we'll see how this one goes. I'm not like loving it at the moment, so yeah, there we go. Anyway, I will check in with you again later in the week once I've read a bit more. See you later. Bye. Good morning, everyone. This week has flown by. It's now Friday and I haven't updated you since I don't even know when. I have not been doing a huge amount of reading. I've mainly just been reading audiobooks. I don't know what it is, and I don't know whether you guys get this as well, but when you have a bank holiday Monday, for some reason the rest of that week, although you've had time off, just seems really long and really tiring. Every night this week I've come home from work, my eyes are just so sore and tired, and so I really haven't felt like picking up any books. However, I have done a little bit of reading. So I'm probably just over halfway through The Mothers. I don't know if I really have much to say about this one. I haven't had like a huge urge to pick it up. Whilst I'm reading it, it's fine, it's good, but there hasn't, like, it's quite a slow burner. There's not like a huge amount that's actually been happening in the story yet. The characters are all very nice, but again, it's not one that I'm like, yeah, like dying to pick this up when I get home. I must know what's happening, because there's not a huge amount that's happened. I haven't read any more of Queen of Shadows. I literally read the first chapter of that one. Not that it's put me off, but the two characters that are the love interest in Queen of Shadows, if you've read it, you'll know who I'm talking about. They've been parted at the beginning of this book. Like, the woman has gone away from the man, and so I was like well up for that story, and now they're not together, so I'm a bit kind of like, well, not eager to pick it up, but I'm sure I will soon once I've got my reading bug back. However, I did finish listening to The Burning by Laura Bates. That was
probably the most mediocre YA book I've read in a really, really long time. The whole way through I was just like, this feels like the most generic, almost like a stock YA book. Like, yep, check, we've got that, check, we've got that. And I was just kind of like, there's nothing that in this book that makes it seem unique, special at all. It felt really messy. Like, I feel like if I was actually physically reading the book, I probably would have put it down straight away, because the actual writing and the way the story like came across, I was just like, oh, this is just not good at all. There was so much that the author kind of crammed in there. She had a pregnancy storyline, she had an abortion separate to the pregnancy storyline. There was a storyline about like witches and kind of this girl being like getting visions from the past, and then this whole thing to do with slut shaming and everything. So there was like a lot happening, and just none of it came across particularly well. So yeah, that was a bit of a shame. I gave that one 2 stars. Then I've started listening to The Dreamers by Karen Thompson Walker. Now, I own a book by this author, which I haven't read yet. It's called The Age of Miracles, and I am loving the audiobook of The Dreamers. So I have a feeling that once I finish this one, I'm going to go and pick up The Age of Miracles, because I'm loving her writing style. Like, listening to her words, just brilliant. I'm really enjoying it. So essentially, The Dreamers is about, I mean, it might not be the best for everyone in the current climate, but essentially it starts in a like university in America where a girl comes home from a night out because she's feeling a bit unwell, and the next day she doesn't wake up and she's gone into this very deep sleep. And then this starts happening with other people in her like dorm room, and then like scientists have to come in and they're treating it like an infectious disease, because more and more of these students are just dropping down and just unable to wake up from their sleep, and it appears as if they're dreaming. And so at the moment they're trying to work out what's going on, and there's just this like bubble of panic because of a potential widespread disease that people don't know about and don't know how to cure, kind of like COVID but with people sleeping. I'm really enjoying it. I actually really enjoy books like this, kind of almost a bit kind of science fiction-y, but could be real life, I guess, as well. It reminds me somewhat of The Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham, which is a kind of classic post-apocalyptic book where people all go blind and they can't see, and so it's like, how do people survive when they can't see? I've also read another book, actually, that's just reminded me. I read another post-apocalyptic book called Nod, which was also about people, was it people falling asleep or people not being able to fall asleep? Yeah, that was it. It was like the reverse of this one, where there was like a pandemic but people couldn't fall asleep, and so people were dying of like sleep deprivation because they literally weren't able to go to sleep. And then there were some people on the planet who were able to sleep, and so they were kind of attacked. I actually really didn't like that book, so I don't know why I'm talking about it. I wouldn't recommend that one. Didn't like it at all. From what I can remember, it was quite sexist in some parts, and I just thought it was terrible. But anyway, this one, The Dreamers, really enjoying it so far. Looking forward to listening to some more of it on my walk to work today. It will certainly update you more. I've decided now that I'm going to upload these weekly vlogs on a Sunday afternoon, because then I can film a little bit more on the Saturday as well. And tomorrow I'm joining the lovely Rhiannon on her channel with a group of others to do some live sprints on Saturday afternoon, so that would be really exciting. If you follow me on Instagram or Twitter or anything like that, I will share all that information all the time on there. So if you want to be ahead of the game and know when live sprints and things are happening, then that's how you'll know. You see these cats running around like absolute heathens this morning. I don't know what their problem is, but lots of energy. Anyway, more energy than me. I'll probably update you tomorrow. Hopefully I'll finish the Mothers during the reading sprints tomorrow, as I feel like I've just been reading it for ages and it's not even a long book. It's frustrating. So yeah, I hope you're all having a lovely day, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye. Hi everyone, I thought I'd just do a final little update for this video here. I'm literally on Rhiannon's live sprints as we speak. I've got my camera turned off so I could just update you because I finished reading The Mothers. I really enjoyed it come the end. I think it was just a bit of a slow
slower, much slower paced book than what I've been reading recently, so I felt like I wasn't really like into it at the beginning. You spend years with these characters and all of it kind of revolves around the ideas of being a mother and what being a mother means, and the kind of importance of motherhood to the various different characters that we focus on and the relationships that they had with their mothers. And it's just really beautiful, and I really like the way that it was actually written, and then the flow of the story I think worked really well. Certainly come the end I was enjoying it, I was really kind of into it, and we had to keep stopping for the live sprint and I was like, oh, I just want to keep reading, I want to finish it off. So yeah, I gave it a 4 stars come the end. So that's going to be the end of this week's reading vlog. I hope you've all had a really successful reading week as well, or you may not have done. Let me know in the comments, I'd love to have a chat with you. As always, I'll leave links to everything I've mentioned today down below. I hope you're all having a fantastic day and I will see you soon. Bye!